My first love, Mr. Scott. When I was in grade 10, our school got a new English teacher. His name was Mr. Scott. He was young, only 24 years old, with dark hair and warm brown eyes that always seemed kind. He wasn't just another teacher. He was handsome, polite, and carried himself with quiet confidence. It didn't take long before all the girls in our school started talking about him. During breaks, many of them would walk past his classroom just to catch a glimpse of him. Some of the younger teachers also liked to talk with him, hoping to get his attention. But Mr. Scott never encouraged gossip or unnecessary chatter. He remained professional, focused only on teaching, and that made him even more admirable in my eyes. For me, Mr. Scott was more than just a teacher. I thought he was the best teacher in the whole world. I never missed his classes, always completed my homework, and studied harder than ever before. Yet, I was shy. Unlike my classmates who often joked with him or asked silly questions, I could never find the courage to speak to him in that way. I simply listened carefully and tried my best to impress him with my answers. Sometimes I even wore my favorite dress to class, secretly hoping he might notice me. Whenever he called on me to answer a question, my heart would race and my hands would tremble. Still, I always tried to answer with confidence, because deep down, I wanted him to be proud of me. And often, he would smile warmly and say, "Good job, Emma." Those words felt like sunlight after rain, and they stayed in my heart for days. That entire year, Mr. Scott filled my thoughts. I admired him so much that I even started dreaming about him at night. Once, I discovered where he lived, just a short walk from my neighborhood. Sometimes I would walk past his house, pretending it was a coincidence, just hoping to see him. Whenever he noticed me, he would smile and say hello. Those small moments meant everything to me. But life has a way of changing. When I moved to grade 11, something terrible happened. Mr. Scott left our school. He had received a better job offer in another city. The day I learned he was leaving, I felt like the sky had collapsed. The classroom without him felt empty, and so did my heart. Even passing by his old house felt painful, knowing he was no longer there. Time, however, moves on. I focused on preparing for my university exams and joined extra English classes. On the first day, as I nervously entered the classroom, I froze. Standing in front of me was none other than Mr. Scott. I could hardly believe my eyes. He looked at me, smiled, and said, "Welcome back, Emma." My heart soared with happiness. For the next 6 months, I studied harder than ever before. Slowly, I became one of his best students again. Sometimes after class, we would stay back to talk. He asked me about my plans, my dreams, and my goals. In turn, I asked him about his new job and his experiences. For me, those conversations were magical. Then one day, he offered to walk me home. I was surprised, but overjoyed. That simple act made me feel like the luckiest girl in the world. After that, it became a habit. We walked together often, sometimes in the park, sometimes by the busy streets. Our conversations grew longer and our bond grew stronger. Eventually, we started spending time outside class, watching movies, talking for hours, sharing little pieces of our lives. I still remember our first kiss. It felt like something out of a dream, as though the world had melted away and only the two of us remained. I believed then that Mr. Scott was the perfect man, the one I had always been waiting for. But happiness, like seasons, does not last forever. One evening, he told me he had received a new job offer in another country. He had to move to the USA. My heart broke into pieces. We promised to stay in touch, to write letters to each other, and for a while, we did. Every week, I waited eagerly for his letters. I read them over and over, holding on to every word as if it were a treasure. But slowly, the letters grew fewer. He got busy with his new life, and I got busy with college. Weeks turned into months, and months into years. Eventually, our connection faded. I moved forward with my studies, new friends, and new challenges, though a small corner of my heart always remembered him. 8 years later, while scrolling through a social media site, I saw his profile. My hands shook as I sent him a message. To my surprise, he replied quickly and we decided to meet. The day of the meeting, I dressed carefully, my heart racing with old feelings. At the cafe, I finally saw him again. He smiled as I approached, but he looked different. Time had changed him. He was older, a little heavier, his once dark hair now showing streaks of gray, and his eyes no longer shined with the same brightness. We sat and talked for hours, remembering old times, catching up on our lives. He was still kind, still polite, but something was missing. The spark I had once felt, the magic that had once filled my heart, it was no longer there. That night, as I thought about our meeting, I realized something important. I didn't love the man sitting across from me in the cafe. I loved the memory of the young teacher who had once made my world brighter. My feelings had changed. We both had grown and life had moved us in different directions. The next day, I looked through my old school photos. I saw pictures of my friends, my teachers, and even Mr. Scott. A smile crossed my face as memories washed over me. Those days were beautiful, but they were in the past. Now I was a grown woman with a job, new dreams, and new people in my life. A week later, I received a message from him. "It was nice meeting you, Emma. I hope we can stay friends." I replied, "Thank you, Mr. Scott. It was nice seeing you too. I wish you all the best." We exchanged a few more words, but I knew in my heart it was time to let go. One rainy evening, as I walked through the park near my house, I suddenly remembered the time Mr. Scott once walked me home in the rain. The memory made me smile. In that moment, I thought, life is like the rain. Sometimes it feels cold and sad, but it also helps new flowers grow. Even today, I sometimes think about Mr. Scott, but now when I do, I feel peace instead of sadness. He was an important chapter of my story, but not the ending. Life goes on, and it keeps surprising us with new people and new dreams. And often, the best moments arrive when we least expect them. Mr. Scott will always remain my first love, my teacher, my unforgettable memory. But I've learned that life is bigger than one love story. The world keeps turning, and so do we.